Well. Looks like the Minnesota Wild have been given the green light by ownership to sell at this year's NHL trade deadline. Now, this is interesting news coming out of Minnesota, considering they are holding down the second wild card in the Western Conference. Obviously, that conference is wide open for those last couple playoff spots, but it seems like the Wild are willing to make some moves. They've been given the okay to make some moves. Obviously, this is somewhat interesting, considering what's gone on this year with Minnesota. There's been a couple injuries. They've made a couple trades. So we'll see, there's been something. It's been an up and down road for the Minnesota Wild this year. After those comments, Bruce Boudreau came out and said, "We're gonna make the playoffs." Now, to be fair, obviously he's gonna say, what is he supposed to say? We're not gonna make the playoffs. That's being a coach. He's saying what he has to say. He's saying the right things. Um, that's a given. I don't know why people are freaking out about that. That's just what he has to say. And obviously, with the being told of the selling, now it seems like anybody is on the table except a few. Ryan Suter, Zach Parise, and probably Devin Dubnyk. I would assume those three probably not going to be moved. Probably not going to be moved for one reason or another, whether it's because of contracts, age. It would be harder to move those three guys, and those are cornerstone pieces of this team. And they have been for the last while. Um, Obviously, they're in the playoffs. I mean, they're tied with the Vancouver Canucks in points, but they do have 2 games in hand over the Canucks. So this is a good opportunity for them, to possibly add. Why would you subtract? You're in the playoff race, but maybe they're looking at next year. I mean, obviously, this year's draft is not expected to be that great, but neither was 2015. And looking back, that was a pretty good draft. So these are things we're going to have to look at. Uh, Top goal scorers, I mean, obviously, Zach Parise, 49 points in 56 games. He has been a workhorse there in Minnesota, and I expect that to continue. Mikael Granlund, 46 points in 56 games. No surprise there. He's a great player. Ryan Suter, 38 points in 57 games. Eric Staal, 37 points in 56 games. And Jared Spurgeon, the lone defenseman in the top five with 30. Oh. So the top 5 point leaders for the Minnesota Wild include Zach Parise with 49 points in 56 games. Mikael Granlund, 46 points in 57 games. Ryan Suter with 38 points in 57 games. Eric Staal with 37 points in 56 games. And Jared Spurgeon with 35 points in 57 games. So you have 2 defensemen in there. Obviously, 2 of those guys are kind of off the board for trade anyway, Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, but there would definitely be a lot of interest for guys like Mikael Granlund, Jared Spurgeon, possibly Eric Staal, who is going to be a UFA this summer. So does Minnesota want to take the chance of losing in the first or second round to a Nashville or a Winnipeg, and then possibly losing a guy like Eric Staal for nothing? Maybe that's what the Wild are looking at. They're just being realistic. We're not going to beat some of these big dogs in the Western Conference. Obviously, there's more to this. I mean, they made a trade a couple weeks ago. Victor Rask for Nino Niederreiter. At the time, it was, both fan bases said, "Oh, we won this trade," blah blah blah. Well, Victor Rask has suffered a couple injuries. He's been in and out of the lineup since coming to Minnesota. He was injured when he was acquired, so that was kind of expected. It's bad timing, and especially bad timing when Nino Niederreiter, a former New York Islander, oh man, 9 points in 10 games. He's been on fire there in Carolina. It really lit a spark under him, and he's playing unbelievable hockey there. Victor Rask, 2 points in 10 games. That's not necessarily bad. He's been playing on the fourth line, but just compared to Nino, he's just not getting the opportunities that Nino is in Carolina right now. a tough look right now. Obviously, it's 10 games in. Victor Rask had been suffering injuries, and now he's getting moved. So there's a lot of things to look at. There's a lot of variables there. Maybe over a year or two, you look at this trade and you think, nobody really won or lost. It didn't really make a difference at the end of the day. But right now, Nino Niederreiter is playing unbelievable hockey in Carolina. Another guy to look at, I was hoping for more from this year, was Joel Eriksson Ek. He's been having a tough year. He's only got 10 points in 40 games. I mean, you expect more. I really like this kid. He's a great two-way player, great two-way center, and he just, I mean, you look at the centers that are there. You have Eric Staal, Mikael Granlund, Charlie Coyle, all guys that could possibly be available for trades. Maybe Joel Eriksson Ek plays a little bit better with more minutes, possibly in the top six. He's playing third line right now, so he's not really getting the opportunity for his full potential. Maybe he gets moved. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, his name wasn't on saying that he is safe, so all bets are off. But I would love to see Joel Eriksson Ek stay in Minnesota. I think the Wild do too. I think they're looking to get younger. So a guy like Eric Staal or Charlie Coyle could be available for a spot for him to possibly move up in the lineup. Luke Kunin, he's been playing in the bottom six as well. So there's a great opportunity possibly for those guys to get some more minutes heading down into the end of the 2018-2019 season. Now some recent news. I heard this morning on Twitter, someone was saying the Minnesota Wild have inquired about the New York Rangers' Matt Zuccarello. What kind of deal would that involve? Possibly a defense. I mean, that's an interesting deal. You wonder if a guy like Dumba, Brodin, Spurgeon, one of those guys, possibly a flip. I'm not sure exactly what the Rangers are getting from in terms of offers for Matt Zuccarello. Possibly, not that long ago, back in December, people were saying maybe a second or a third for Zuccarello. Since then, he's really turned it on for the Rangers. So he might be able to garner up a first and a prospect, maybe a defenseman and a prospect, a defenseman and a draft pick. Any of those combinations could work for the New York Rangers in return. We'll see what happens, though. The trade deadline is approaching. This is just more news to add. There's just so much going on with the NHL right now. And, with the Minnesota Wild being where they are, they're in a weird spot. You don't want to just miss the playoffs and, get the 15th overall pick. You might as well just made the playoffs, but maybe Minnesota is willing to take that chance. Listen, hey, we need to, we want to try and get a lottery pick this year. Try and pick up a guy like Jack Hughes or Capo Caco. You just never know. Bowen Byram, Minnesota Wild, they're looking to get younger, and with contracts sagging them down, they really can't get much better than where they are right now. They tried lateral moves like the Rask for Niederreiter. It just hasn't been working. It may be time for the Wild to finally trade off assets and not be a first, second round exit team year after year. So we'll see what happens. Stay up to date. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. And make sure to turn on the bell notification so you can get up-to-date videos on what's going on here on Goal Line Hockey. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.